I want to tell you my story today. My real story, not the cleaned up version. The actual, messy, complicated, beautiful story of how a girl who grew up in a home with an atheist father and a mother who thought the Bible was just a collection of moral fables somehow found her way to God. It took years, it took heartbreak, it took a failed marriage and a baby girl and hitting a wall I didn't see coming. But I found him, or more accurately, he found me. And if you're anything like that young woman was, searching, confused, living a life that looked fine on the outside but felt hollow underneath, then this is the story for you. Friends, welcome to Lift Your Life with Awe. My name is Gretel Seiler, and I'm a 73-year-old wife, mother, grandmother, sister, retired accountant. And I have experienced so much in the last 7 decades, ups and downs, challenges and opportunities. I want to bring you encouragement and wisdom to help you find peace and joy for your life today based on some of those experiences. Now let me take you back to the beginning, to the family I grew up in. My mother had been raised in the church. She knew the stories, Noah and the Ark, David and Goliath, the Christmas story. She thought the Bible had some good moral lessons in it, the kind that helped you be a decent person and raise decent children. And she wasn't wrong about that, but she didn't know it as anything deeper than that. That is so sad. She didn't know the God behind the stories, not really. And my father, well, my father was a committed atheist. Not the quiet, keep it to yourself kind. He was certain. He believed deeply that there was no God. And anyone who thought otherwise, he figured they were either not very bright or they were delusional. So there I was, a little girl, growing up right in the middle of those two worlds. And here's what surprises people. In that house, with those two parents, with no real faith foundation under my feet, I was searching for God. Even as a young girl, something inside me was reaching for something I couldn't name and couldn't find, but somehow could feel was there, like a light just around the corner that I hadn't discovered yet. Now, there was one Bible in our house, just one, a King James Bible. And I want to tell you, I tried. I genuinely, sincerely tried to read it. I would open it up and wanted so badly to understand, and it was like trying to read a letter written in a foreign language. Because in a way, it was. The King James Bible was translated in the early 1600s. And even in that time, the translation used already formal and old-fashioned language. 400 years later, sitting in my bedroom as a young girl, that Bible just did not make any sense. Thou shalt, verily I say unto thee, beseech thee. I'm not making fun of it. It's a beautiful translation. But I was a child who wanted to know God, not decipher an ancient text. So I put it down again and again. I picked it up again and again. I put it down, confused, frustrated, and still searching. I think about that little girl sometimes, how badly she wanted to find God. And I just wanted to reach back through time and put my arm around her and say, don't worry, He already sees you. He knows you're looking. Keep going. Have you ever found yourself searching for something, maybe understanding, maybe why life is doing what it is doing? Well, I kept going, just not always in the right direction. My teens, my college years, let me just say I was living what I'll generously call a full life. Adventurous, spirited, making choices that looked exciting in the moment and maybe sometimes looked a little different in the morning light. I wasn't thinking about God much during those years. I was busy. I was young. I was doing what so many of us do, filling up every hour so I wouldn't have to sit still long enough to feel that quiet ache. But you know what I believe now with every part of me? I believe God was pursuing me during every single one of those years. Not in a frightening way, not in a you'd better get it together way, but the way a loving parent watches a child wander and never stops watching, never stops caring, never stops waiting for them to turn around. The Bible tells us that God desires a personal relationship with every one of us. Not a formal, distant, once a week type of relationship, a real relationship, because He knows your name, because He's been writing your story longer than you ever knew He existed. And He wants you to know He loves you and wants to hear from you. He was waiting to hear from me, even during those wild years, even when I wasn't looking for Him. I met my husband more than 50 years ago in college, and isn't it something how God works? Because that first meeting, we were just friends. We had other people in our lives. Life moved on as it does. We went our separate ways. And during that time, I made my own path. I got married, and that marriage fell apart. And I found myself young, with an infant daughter in my arms, and a life that had not gone the way I planned. I want you to sit with that picture for a moment, because some of you are in a season like that right now. You had a plan, and the plan blew up. And now you're standing in the rubble wondering what comes next, wondering if anyone sees you, wondering if it's too late to start over. It wasn't too late for me, and it's not too late for you. Whether you found yourself there recently or it has been years since your life first fell apart, God knew you would make mistakes. He knew people around you would fail. Things would not turn happily ever after like a fairy tale. Yet He is still there, patiently waiting. For me, my future husband came back into my life in that season, and one of the first things he did, one of the most important things he did for me, was take me to church with him. Not to fix me, not to lecture me. He just invited me, and I said yes. And sitting in that church for the first time in my life, someone explained to me in plain, simple language what I'd been searching for since I was a little girl. I learned that God made me. He made all of us with great love and with great care and with a purpose, and that He had known my name before I was born. I learned that every human being, no exception, falls short of God's perfect standard. Not because we're terrible people, just because we're human people. We all make mistakes, we all fall down, and those mistakes, the Bible calls them sin, create a distance between us and a God who loves us. And I learned something that changed the entire direction of my life. Something so extraordinary I could barely take it in. God didn't just watch us from heaven and shake His head. He came. He put on human skin and walked into our world. His Son, Jesus, fully God and fully human, lived as one of us. He felt what we felt. He experienced hunger, thirst, and that bone-weary tiredness after walking all day long. He had people in His life that He believed in, and they failed Him. Still, he chose to do something no one else could do. He took every failure, every wrong thing, every mistake I ever made, and he carried it, all of it, on a cross as a sacrifice, so that the distance between me and the God of the universe could be permanently, completely closed. And he rose again. Death itself could not hold him. And that gift, that extraordinary, undeserved, free gift, was available to me. Sitting in that church pew with my broken marriage and my baby girl and my searching heart, it was available to me. The only question was whether I would receive it. I did. I received it. It wasn't dramatic. There was no lightning bolt, no choir from heaven. It was quiet. It was peaceful. It was honest. And in some ways it was even sad. Sad that I had waited so long. It was just telling God from my heart, I know I'm not perfect. I know I have fallen short. I am sorry for the times I chose what I knew was wrong. I believe you sent Jesus for me. I ask him to be my Savior, to speak for me, to bring me back to you. And something shifted, something real, something I still cannot fully explain. After all those years of searching, that little girl who sat with the King James Bible she couldn't understand, that young woman who filled her life with noise so she couldn't hear the quiet ache, she was welcomed home to a safe, loving space. And then I committed, not to attaining perfection, I gave that up long ago, but to give walking toward Jesus my commitment each day, to keep trying to become more like him, to get back every time, every single time I fell up short. And I have fallen down many times in 50 years. But here is what I've learned about God's grace. It is bigger than your worst day. Every time I have come back to him with an honest heart, he has received me. He has never once turned me away, and he never will. A lifetime of do-overs. That's what he offers. That's what he promises. And I have taken him up on it more times than I can count. Now my husband and I have been married for 47 years. 47 years. That man who walked back into my life in my hardest season and simply said, "Come to church with me." I think about the faithfulness of God in that, how he used an ordinary invitation, an ordinary church service, to change the entire trajectory of my life. And now here I am, 73 years old, sitting in front of you, telling you my story. I've been walking with Jesus for 50 years, and I want you to hear this clearly. It has been the most miraculous, most meaningful, the most real thing in my entire life. Not because everything has been easy, it hasn't, but because I never walked through anything alone after that. And everything I've learned in these 50 years, every truth, every grace, every beautiful thing God has shown me, I want to bring back to you right here every week. Because that young woman I was, that searching, confused, aching young woman, she's whom I'm talking to when I show up here. She's who I'm thinking about. And I believe completely that what God did for me, he wants to do for you. Maybe you're like my mother. You know the stories, but you've never known the God behind them. Maybe you're like I was, searching, trying, not quite finding the right door. Maybe you're in a broken season right now, sitting in your own version of that moment with an infant and a failed plan and wondering what in the world comes next. Or maybe you're like my father, convinced that there's nothing there. If that's just you, I want to say I understand, and I'm not here to argue. I'm here to tell you what I found and invite you to keep seeking. Because the God I found 50 years ago, He is good, He is personal, He is patient beyond anything you can imagine, He loves you beyond all doubt, and He has been pursuing you for longer than you know. His arms are open, they have always been open, and it is never ever too late to come home. Again, my name is Gretel Seiler, and I welcome you to lift your life with awe. I am 73 years old and a wife of 47 years, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a friend for you. If my story stirred something in you today, even just a flicker of curiosity, I want you to leave me a comment and just say, I'm searching, or this is me, or even just a heart. I will see it, and I will be praying for you. Subscribe so you don't miss our next conversation, because I'm going to bring you more of what I've spent decades learning. We're going to go deep, we're going to go real, and we're going to do it together. If you don't already have a church home, I also urge you to find a local church where you can find a supportive friend to walk with you in your journey to become like Jesus. A YouTube channel, no matter how informative, can't match the actual hugs you get in a local church. We all need hugs sometimes. Until then, you are more loved than you know, and the one who made you has never stopped looking for you. See you next time. Bye.